Good afternoon, welcome to Vanik-Ias, and we will discuss current affairs of 24th February. First is green hydrogen, green hydrogen and green ammonia policy. So recently, Ministry of Power. Remember this Ministry of Power. Sometimes they ask the concerned ministry. This is Ministry of Power has notified green hydrogen and green ammonia policy for production of green hydrogen and green ammonia using renewable sources of energy. It is emphasizing production of green ammonia and green hydrogen using renewable sources of energy. That's why it is under Ministry of Power. National Hydrogen Mission launched in 2021 aims to aid the government in meeting the climate targets and making India green hydrogen hub. See, we have some climate targets in Glasgow summit, like we will achieve net neutrality so far as net carbon emission will be zero in 2070. We have certain commitments in our Glasgow summit, that is the COP26 summit, and to achieve those things, government is taking various steps. And here it is one step, that is to produce green hydrogen and green ammonia using renewable source of energy. So what are the provisions of green hydrogen and green ammonia policy? Under the policy, government is offering to set up manufacturing zones for production connectivity to the ISTS, that is interstate transmission system, on priority basis, and free transmission for 25 years if the production facility is commissioned before 2025. See, here at government, what is the offer? Offer is that interstate transmission system. Interstate transmission system is if there is somebody is investing the production facility before 2025, then they will get 25 years of free interstate transmission system. That is the green hydrogen, green ammonia policy. So that what will happen? Their trade and will increase. Okay. This means that green hydrogen producer will be able to set up solar power plant in Rajasthan to supply renewable energy to green hydrogen plant in Assam and would not be required to pay any interstate transmission charges. Right? So if somebody is producing green hydrogen in Rajasthan, he can send the power to Assam, but he will not be charged any interstate minimum charges. Besides, the producer will be allowed to set up bunkers near ports for the storage of green ammonia for export by shipping. He is also allowed to set up bunkers near the ports for storage. So he can store. So government is facilitating in various ways. One is that it will produce interstate transmission system, free interstate transmission system of energy that you can produce in any state and you will supply to other states. Second thing is that you can set up bunkers for near the ports to for the storage. You can also storage and store and export green ammonia and green hydrogen. Right. So by this method, government is promoting the production of green hydrogen and green ammonia. Next, the production target has also been raised 5 times, from 1 million tons to 5 million tons by 2030. 1 million tons to 5 million tons by 2030. In 2021, it was announced that India is targeting initially 1 million tons annual green hydrogen production by 2030. See just our level of confidence has increased by 5 times just in 1 year. In October 21, it was announced that India is targeting around 1 million tons of annual green hydrogen, but now it has already targeted 5 times. That is 5 million ton of green hydrogen by 2030 India is. So India is aggressively increasing its target. Next is manufacturing of green hydrogen and ammonia are allowed to purchase renewable energy from the power exchange or set up renewable energy capacity themselves or through any other developer anywhere. So here another thing is manufacturing of green hydrogen and ammonia are allowed to purchase renewable power from the power exchange or set up renewable energy capacity themselves through any other developer anywhere. Further, it provides facility for the producer to to bank any surplus renewable energy generated with the discoms up to 30 days and use it is required, right? So by these provisions, government is giving ample amount of freedom to the producers, right? They can store and they can sell anywhere, and also to the discoms. So here the most two important most important provisions are that one is India has increased its renewable energy. India has increased its target from 1 metric ton, 1 million ton to 5 million ton by 2030. Another thing is that the manufacturers of ammonia are allowed to purchase renewable power from the power exchange or set up renewable energy capacity themselves. Anybody they can develop that renewable capacity, and also they can use and they can sell to power discoms as well. Power discoms means the state power authorities. Next, discoms may also procure renewable energy to supply green hydrogen producers, but will require to do so at concessional rate, which will only include the cost of procurement, wheeling charges, and small margin as determined by the state commission under new policy. Such procurement would also count towards state's renewable purchase obligation (RPO), under which it is required to procure a certain proportion of its requirement for renewable energy sources. See, another provision is that discoms may also procure renewable energy to supply green hydrogen producers, right? So they will procure renewable energy and they will supply green hydrogen producer the same energy. For that for that they have to keep a very few margin, right? So what happens, the producer who will try to develop green energy, they will get electricity or energy, the basic requirement energy they will get are very low cost. So it will be helpful for the producer who will be planning to develop a green hydrogen project, right? Another thing is to meet our Paris climate commitment. There are certain RPO, renewable energy purchase obligation. That means every state has some obligation to buy a certain amount of renewable energy. So that what will happen, that will promote the renewable energy sector. So here that will be also calculated. To ensure ease of doing business in a single portal for carrying out all the activities, including statutory clearances in a time-bound manner, will be set up by Ministry of New and Renewable Energy. So to get all these clearances, a single portal will be created by Ministry of New and Renewable Energy. Right. The policy is derived from Ministry of Power, but the activities that and the clearances will be given by Ministry of Renew and Renewable Energy. Next, so what is green hydrogen? So what are the facilities government is providing? First thing is that government is providing various facilities to establish green energy. First thing is that it will allow interstate transmission for 25 years free of cost if somebody is establishing a project within 2025. Right. Next, if a particular producer can set up bunkers at the port for export purpose. Third thing is that India has increased its renewable energy target of 5 million tons by 2030. Fourth thing is that manufacturer of green hydrogen or ammonia will be allowed. They will get energy from will at a very low cost, right? At a very low cost by less energy, and they can also sell their energy to the state discoms. Another thing is that states are mandated RPO, that is a minimum amount of renewable energy they have to purchase every year. Why? That will promote the renewable energy sector. What is green hydrogen? It is produced by splitting water into hydrogen and oxygen using an electrolyzer powered by renewable energy sources such as wind and solar. It is produced by splitting water into hydrogen and oxygen using electrolyzer powered by renewable energy. So it will how to produce it? It will splitting water. and green hydrogen will be produced by electrolyzer. Then the fuel can be game changer for energy security in India, which imports 85% of oil and 53% of the gas requirements. To promote clean fuels, India is considering making mandatory for fertilizers plants and oil refineries to purchase green hydrogen. See, green hydrogen is a very good sources of energy, right? It's a very good sources of renewable energy. But unfortunately, we do not have the capacity at present, right? We have to develop those industries of green hydrogen. So government is making mandatory for the fertilizer plants and the oil refineries to purchase green hydrogen. Right. One point. Second thing that we have to ensure energy security. And because why we are importing 85% of our oil and we are importing 53% of our gas requirements, so we have to reduce our imports. That will help us in getting more forex reserve, and that will strengthen our macroeconomy. That will make a trade balance, right? Overall trade balance. Export minus import is always negative since post independence. That's why we have to reduce our imports. Next, what is the significance of green hydrogen? Green hydrogen energy is vital for India to meet its national determined INDC. Right? National NDC, now it is either earlier that was INDC, now it is NDC. That is national determined contribution targets that we have promised in the Paris Climate Deal in Glasgow. Then ensure regional and national energy security, access and availability. Green hydrogen can act as an energy storage option, which would be essential to meet intermittencies of renewable energy in the future. Green hydrogen can act as an energy storage option, right? We can that will help in storage of energy for future, right? When the fossil fuels will end, then we can use green hydrogen energy. In terms of mobility, for long distance mobilization, for either urban freight movement within cities or states for passengers, green hydrogen can be used in railways, large ships, buses, truck, etc. So by this we know that we can use green hydrogen everywhere. That we will create by splitting water. Hydrogen has the potential to be key renewable energy target in supporting infrastructure as well. So as we know that it will help us to maintain to green hydrogen policy. It will help us to achieve our NDC goals, that are the national determined contribution and in Paris climate deal. Second thing that we can store it for future. Third thing is that we can use it anywhere by buses, by rail, and by trucks, everywhere we can use the green hydrogen project. Next, what is green ammonia? Green ammonia is a chemical which is used mainly in manufacture of nitrogenous fertilizers like urea and ammonium nitrate. It is a chemical. Green hydrogen in green ammonia is a chemical which is used mainly to manufacture nitrogenous fertilizers like urea and ammonium nitrate. What can be put other uses also? So on engines, green ammonia production is where process of making ammonia is 100% renewable and carbon free. Right? Green ammonia means we will produce those. India is an agricultural country, and we are producing huge amount of fertilizers, and we have to produce ammonia in such a way that it is carbon free. It should not generate any type of further pollution. One way of making green ammonia by using hydrogen from the water, electrolysis, and nitrogen from separated from air. So one thing that we have to you can increase, use the green hydrogen to create green ammonia. They are fed to the Haber process, also known as Haber-Bosch. All powered by sustainable electricity. In Haber process, hydrogen and nitrogen are reacted to high temperatures and pressures to produce ammonia, that is NH3. So here we know that we can produce green ammonia. It's a chemical that is used in fertilizers. We can produce green ammonia by using green hydrogen. So we can make it carbon free, so that India is an agriculture country, huge amount of fertilizer are produced, so there should not be um, there should not be any carbon emission because of the production of this uh, green ammonia. That will help us to meet our climate targets. Significance: green ammonia is intended to be used in the production of carbon neutral fertilizer products. Decarbonizing the food value chain also has a potential for a future climate neutral shipping fuel. Green ammonia production makes use of renewable energy sources such as hydroelectric, solar power, and wind turbines. Green ammonia production makes use of renewable energy sources, that is hydroelectric. Green ammonia production makes use of renewable energy sources such as hydroelectric, solar power, and wind turbines. Is used in the production of carbon neutral fertilizers products. It is also used in the production of carbon neutral fertilizers product. Green ammonia is crucial to tackle the existential challenges for producing enough food and feed growing a global population generating carbon CO2 free energy. It's crucial to tackle existential challenges for producing enough food. Sorry. So green ammonia will help to address the existential challenge, that is enough food to feed the growing population, right? By to for enough food means if you will be promoting agriculture, if you increase the agriculture practices, what will happen? We will need more ammonia. If you will need more ammonia, that will bring production of the ammonia, huge amount of carbon will be released to the atmosphere. So green ammonia will help in both the things. That will help in actually food security, and also that will address the issues of climate change, and that will reduce the carbon presence in the atmosphere. Then what need to do? India has potential to bring down the cost of green hydrogen by using low cost renewable green generating plants to bring the cost of green hydrogen. If you bring the cost of green hydrogen, then what will happen? That will help in agriculture as well, because the price of fertilizers will reduce, and that will help our farmers. Cost curtailment experiment again through solar, wind, and reverse actions. Huge market potential. India is a huge market potential because it's a huge country and it's so many members of people. Owing to young demography, thriving economy, will be long-term benefit of government while pursuing the application of green hydrogen-based technologies. Right. So it will help. Uh, so this will give long-term benefit for the government and also to the masses, because once the industry is established, once we have the technology to develop it, that will solve many problems in the future. That will that will reduce the emissions of carbon, and also that will address the issues of food security. Hydrogen needs to be considered a complementary to its alternatives rather than contemplating it is an ultimate and standard solution. It's as a complementary to alternatives rather than ultimate and standard solution, and when it comes to own constraints, right? So we have to these green hydrogen and green ammonia products. These things we can they need to be considered as complementary, right? For example, they may be used as substitute, right? Presently, with the existing technology, we cannot be dependent fully on the green hydrogen energy. So gradually, we are developing it. The present storage and transportation technologies are expected to mature and cost effective by 2030. We are expecting by 2030 the present storage and cost effective, and the cost will be proper by 2030, and will be used properly the green hydrogen energy. Hence, the production of near real-time utilization of hydrogen at the same location can be promoted to safeguard investments against undesirable sunk cost. So the production and near real-time utilization of hydrogen at the same location can be promoted. So wherever green hydrogen is created, that need to be utilized there so that the transportation cost will be reduced. Next issues is Afghanistan's humanitarian crisis. Afghanistan humanitarian crisis, what happened? So World Bank has approved a plan of US dollar 1 billion. We all of you know that USA has taken all its soldiers from the ground of Afghanistan. Then the Afghanistan President Mr. Ashraf Ghani, he has fled away from the country, and then there is only Taliban, and Taliban is now coming to power. Then Taliban, there is administrative failure. They do not have the resources to eat. They don't have the resources to normal payment of the administrators. So Taliban is going, and because many people has cut their ties with Taliban. There is no investment, there is no foreign aid, there is no embassies also to work there. Various projects are stalled. For example, India has there are various projects of India stalled in Afghanistan because of Taliban rule. So Afghanistan is going through economic crisis and it is almost a failed state. Right. So still cover the World Bank wanted to, I mean, they are cooperating to develop the indigenous economy. So they have planned to use some 1 billion US dollar, that is for education, agriculture, health, and family programs of Afghanistan. That will ease the worsening humanitarian economic crisis of Afghanistan. The aim is to protect the vulnerable, help preserve human capital and key economic and social institutions, and reduce the need for future humanitarian assistance. Earlier, the Delhi Regional Security Dialogue of Afghanistan was held in India. But what happened? China didn't join, right? Next, what is the current situation of Afghanistan? And in Shukra, Afghanistan has only dangerous implications of the region, but also the whole world, because that will whenever there is a failed state, that means there is no legitimate authority, on the authority is not that much of strong. Then what will happen? Small scale non-state actors will be generated. Terrorism will generate. That happened in Iraq, right? Before ISIS was also it is small outfit, right? Because Syria there is the state have become weak. State become weak because of civil war, and ISIS started there. Similarly, in Afghanistan also, the government is weak. It lack capacity. That's why various small outfit or terrorist group will emerge at different places, and parallel governments will emerge. So, what is the current situation in Afghanistan? And insecure Afghanistan, then Afghanistan has been unstable and insecure for decades, but Taliban captured power in 2021, are the entire region hanging in by a thread. The current situation in Afghanistan is disturbing, similar to geopolitical scenario in the late 1990s. It's disturbing. There is violation of human rights. There is no administrative proper. There is no administrative. Um, there is administration is not proper. There is not, it is not streamlined. So there is Afghanistan is going to various turmoil and problem of law and order situation. Then Taliban has seized for 1996, but international community didn't fully grasp the potential consequences of the new paradigm. Then international organizations have left the country. Taliban is unable to pay the wages to the government employees. Public healthcare sector is disarray. The war-ravaged country is facing unprecedented humanitarian crisis, which could turn into another violent conflict. Apart from suffering the rural population, even Afghans based on in cities are finding impossible to make the ends meet. Right? Everybody is suffering. The rural people, the urban people, those are government employees. Everybody is suffering, and economy is in distress. It is going downward. And then Afghanistan could face bigger catastrophe if Taliban are unable to improve the economic situation. Adding that they will find it difficult to govern a civil war could erupt. This is possible, right? Because that is happened. Same thing happened in Syria and Iraq. So Taliban has to improve the economic situation. That's why World Bank is helping. It is easier for terrorist groups to operate in a country that is facing economic turmoil. Afghanistan is no exception. So various terrorist groups can emerge in Afghanistan because that is a very breeding ground of terrorists. What are the impacts of humanitarian crisis in Afghanistan? The impacts are many. The impacts are in the whole world, right? Whenever there is a particular country, there is instability or there is terrorism, it affects the region whole South Asia. So if there is a crisis in Afghanistan, there is security threat to the whole South Asia, right? And many Western nations are see immediate security threat to emanating from Afghanistan. The Taliban seeking to gain international recognition and financial aid is more inclined towards diplomatic approach rather than employing violent tactics. So it's a good news, right? They are more inclined towards diplomatic approach. They are saying that recognize us and will behave as a responsible country, but who will trust them, right? How to build trust, right? They're approaching diplomatic approach rather than violent tactics. But this superficial calm may not last long. If humanitarian crisis aggravates in Afghanistan, even the Taliban won't be able to manage the situation, as evidenced in the by violent Islamic State attacks. As we have seen, Islamic State has risen. Similarly, we will also see Taliban will not be able to manage the affairs. If possible, violent conflict in Afghanistan could spill over to other countries in the region. Right? The violent conflict in Afghanistan could spill over to other countries in the region. That is Pakistan, that is also India, that is also Iran. There is the various challenges. If that happens, regional powers will start supporting proxies to keep the violence within Afghanistan boundaries. But this will be sort of short-term solution in Afghanistan conflict. Right? They will fund some terrorist organization and they will say that okay, you should not attack us. This will be only short-term solution in Afghanistan. The more the Taliban stay in power, the more difficult to get the maintain stability in the region. It's terrorist organization, they are not that much of literate to organize a state, to manage the affairs of the state, they are not literate, they don't have administrative skills, and that's why there will not be war. They do not have economies, they do not have administrators, there are various challenges, right? Taliban have ties with international terrorists. Their return to power has emboldened the jihadi organizations in the region. They become active and non-state actors become in those areas will become uh, they have get activated. They have got a safe ground. For example, if a terrorist, if you know that a terrorist is staying in Bangladesh, then India will pressurize Bangladesh to release him, right? So it will be difficult for a terrorist or difficult for a non for such a person to stay in any country. But they want some safe haven where there is no government, where there is no strict law and order. In such situation, Afghanistan is one of the best place. As they consolidate themselves, their tactical and strategic ties with terrorism, financiers and sponsors will grow and will eventually jeopardize the peace and security in the region. So that will affect the security of the whole region. What should the world would do for Afghanistan? Humanitarian crisis in Afghanistan cannot be resolved through humanitarian aid alone. Afghanistan economy needs to be improved so that Afghans can be brought out of poverty. But to lift Afghanistan's economy, the international community needs to engage with Taliban. Terrorism will not be contained in the Afghanistan borders if the humanitarian situation and does not improve. But unless we are developing relationships with other countries, we will supply different because not a single country is self-sufficient. You cannot produce oil, you cannot produce gas, you cannot produce everything. You have to depend on the foreign countries. But every foreign country, every responsible country is fearing to engage with the Taliban, who will go and settle there. Nobody is interested to start their embassy. Right? Nobody can trust the terrorist organization. They may kill at any time. They don't respect human rights. They do not have a set of they do not have a rule of law. Then trusting such a government will be difficult. As long as so that is why as there is no relation between different countries, economic development will not happen. Trade and exchange trade will not happen, right? And that will create a bigger problem for Afghanistan. What are the implications on India? Strategic concern. Taliban control will also mean bigger hand for the Pakistan military ISI. Yes, ISI. It was ISI that once managed this, created this Taliban, right? And And if, as Taliban has gained power, it is ISI which is in upper hand, and the relations between IS, Pakistan, the Taliban, and Pakistan has strengthened, and Pakistan has become more powerful in that region. So far as Afghanistan is concerned. Then threat of radicalization. There is a threat of growing radicalization faced in pan-Islamic terror groups in Indian neighborhood. Right? In Indian neighborhood, if there is like the problem Israel is facing, anytime they are facing the threats, right? Similarly, India will also face various threats from every side. There is also India there is challenges of radicalization in there is a potential radicalization in our Kashmir area that will be a threat to internal security and Indian sovereignty. Then so what it to them? There should be inclusive government. Government should take the participation of all the ethnic groups. Then Russian support. Russia has cultivated links with Taliban center. India would need Russian support in any form of direct engagement with Taliban. Right? So India will develop relations with Russia, then will engage with Taliban. Then one of with China, India should talk with China with the objective of finding a political settlement and lasting stability in Afghanistan. But China is not participating openly. That's the biggest challenge. Engaging with Taliban taking Taliban in would allow India to seek security guarantees from the insurgents in return of to continued development assistance or pledges as well explore possibility of Taliban's autonomy from Pakistan. So India, if India they want help from India, then Taliban should be autonomous from the India first of all. Second thing is that uh, they should promise that to ensure security, right? They must promise and ensure security for those people who will engage in development of various projects in Afghanistan. So these are the various the challenges that Afghanistan faces. We have to see the next topic, that is plastic waste management amendment rules, right? We have changed amended the plastic waste management, that is Ministry of Forest and Climate Change. They have amended the plastic waste management rules 2022, which notified instruction of extended producer responsibility. It extended producer responsibility. Whoever is production, they have responsibility for the recycling for plastic packaging. Plastic waste management rule 2016 have been amended to fast track elimination of single-use plastic. Government is in target of elimination of single-use plastic and promote the alternatives. And it has extended the producer responsibility. Whoever is producing the single-use plastic, then they have certain responsibility to do. The term extended producer responsibility means responsibility of a producer for environmentally sound management of the product. Sound management of the product until the end of its life. So if somebody is producing this single uh, use plastics, then somebody is producing single use plastic. It is their responsibility to dispose them and to make them bio, or they will ensure that they are not harm to the environment. That is the responsibility of the producer. What are the plastic waste management rules? It mandates generators of plastic waste to take steps to minimize generation of plastic waste. Right? Those people who are creating the plastic waste, they have to take the responsibility. Prevent littering of plastic waste and ensure segregation of storage of waste sources among other measures. The rules also made responsible local bodies, Gram Panchayat, waste generators, retailers, street vendors to manage the plastic waste. So everybody has certain responsibility and they have to do it so far as plastic waste is concerned. These are the rules in 2016. Then what are the provisions on the new rules? There are categorization of plastics. First is category 1, that is rigid plastic. Rigid plastic packaging will be included under this category. Then category 2, flexible plastic packaging of single layer or multi-layer. Different type of plastics. Plastic sheets, cover made by plastic sheet, carry bags, plastic sachet, pouches will be included under this category. Third category is multi-layered plastic packaging. At least one layer of plastic and at least one layer of material other than plastic. will be included in the discussion category 3. And category 4, plastic sheet like used in packaging always, as well as carry bags made of compostable plastics fall under this category. So these are four category of plastic. First is rigid plastic, second is flexible plastic, third is multi-layer plastic, fourth is plastic sheet. So these are types of plastics that are categorized under the management rules of 2022. Then plastic packaging. Reuse of plastic packaging material has been mandated in the guidelines. Reduce the use of fresh practice material for packaging. The enforceable prescription is of minimal level of recycling plastic packaging waste collected under EPR along with use of recycled plastic content. So minimum level of recycling packaging waste should be done by the producer. Then extended producer responsibility. It is significant fast guidelines allow to sell and purchase of surplus extended producer responsibility of certificates. Right? If that means if a particular plastic producer uh, is recycling a huge amount of plastics, right? Then they can sell those certificates and earn money. And so another company is not recycling that much of plastic waste. Then they can buy money from the first company who is producing who is recycling a huge amount of plastics. That is extended producer certificates they can also get. Centralized online portal. Government has also called for establishing centralized online portal by Central Pollution Control Board for registration as well as filing of annual returns by producers. The annual returns by producer, importers, brand owners, and plastic waste. So there is a comprehensive portal to manage all the affairs so far as plastic is concerned. Then environmental compensation. Environmental compensation will be levied based on the polluter pays principle. Polluter pays, right? Whoever is producing, they will pay. Polluter pay principle. Remember, this is very important. This polluter pay principle. Whoever is producing the pollutants, they should pay. With respect to non-fulfillment of EPR targets by producer, importers, and brand owners, they have to pay to the government. For the purpose protecting and improving the quality of environment and preventing, controlling, avoiding environment pollution, the polluter-based principle impose liability on a person who pollutes the environment and compensate for the damage caused and the return to original state of regardless of the intent and return to original state. Suppose you have damaged a particular area because of any purpose. Suppose for example, suppose a particular area is damaged by a particular industry because of its affluence, right? Because of the sewage. Then it is a responsibility of that same company to revive the same water sources or to that same area, uh, and they have to pay for it. Committee recommended measures. A committee constituted by CPCB under the chairmanship of CPCB chairman will recommend measures to the Environmental Ministry for effective implementation of EPR, including, right. So their committee will be extended, which will eventually implement the extended producer responsibility. Then State Pollution Control Board and Pollution Control Committees has been asked to submit annual report on extended producer responsibility with respect to fulfillment by producers, importers, and brand owners in the state or union territory. So they have to produce the report, annual report of EPR, that is extended producer responsibility. So that will ensure accountability. What you are doing, please show us. So what are the significance that will promote development, new alternatives to plastics, provide a roadmap for business towards sustainable plastic packaging. Then guide that they will provide strengthen our circular economy of plastic packaging waste, That will reduce the pollution, right? India generates around 3.4 million tons of plastic waste annually. Right? That will help in United Nations program aims to almost triple the plastic waste management in 200 cities by 2024. Triple the plastic waste management. So the plastic waste management capacity need to be tripled within 2024 as per United Nations. Right? So that is as it is detrimental to environment. So we must take urgent steps to reduce the plastic waste. Then we will discuss the questions. In India, registration of political parties is governed by provisions of Representation of People Act 1951. Representation of People Act 1951. It helps the Election Commission to declare the political parties, to give them symbols, to it also establishes delimitation commission. So this is the provisions of Representation of People Act 1951. The Malimath Committee is associated with the criminal justice system. Malimath Committee, criminal justice system, how to reform the criminal justice system, that is Malimath Committee. Food fortification has an increased nutritional micronutrient content embedded in the crop being grown. No, food fortification we can do food fortification after the crop is yielded, right? We can during the when the crop is grown we cannot make food fortification, right? So after we get the rice, then only we can fortify it. But biofortification can be done when it is grown. Biofortification increases the nutritional value of foods by adding trace amount of micronutrients food during the processing. See, biofortification it is not during the processing of food it is not added. It is during the cultivation. So here it is the reverse is written. So neither one nor two is right. As the following city is in the direction of east to west. Direction of east to west. Right. Ho Chi Minh City it is in Vietnam. Then Phuket this is in Thailand. Then Yangon this is in Myanmar. Obviously, Vietnam is at right. You may see the map. Vietnam, and after Vietnam there will be Thailand. Then there will be Myanmar. So the serial is 1, 2, 3. World Bank STARS project has been mentioned in the news, which aims to improve the quality of governance in school education. That is STAR project. Remember, STAR project is related to improve the quality of quality and governance of school education. So for today, this much, right? So here it is completed. Like this video, share this video, and if you want us to continue this program, subscribe and share. Thank you.